the place they're completely unoriginal is they're doing the whole like, oh no, we need to free the Venezuelan people from their evil, horrible dictator, which is the same bullshit they use with Iran. They're like, well, we stand with the Iranian people in liberating them from their dictator, and it's like, okay, but
and it just so happens to be a socialized. It just so happens to be a socialized economy with a nationalized oil supply again.
America's dead.
Yeah, so the most pressing thing is the United States government. They are, oh, that's so annoying. They are starting to.
It's worse than that. It's way worse than that.
And they are trying to get Venezuela to. They're trying to get Venezuela to do that. And so things are really heating up when it comes to Venezuela. The warmongering is completely out there. You've probably already seen the like mass bot farm. They got all the bot farms burning the midnight oil here. They probably stole some like India sort of workers to go do that, take a break from the Hasbara and go to do Venezuela, propaganda. But you've probably been seeing it on your feeds and social media. Just nonstop accounts, very concerned about the horrible dictator, and it's always the same script, right? The crazy thing about the situation in Venezuela is they didn't even give us, and they never do this anymore because I feel like they don't have to, or they're just too arrogant. They didn't even do us the service of doing like a new propaganda angle. It's the same thing they use with Iran.
No, it's weapons of mass destruction, except like cleaner, I guess. You can just call it anything you want.
No, but it's like they're doing the drug angle, right? But the place they're completely unoriginal is they're doing the whole like, oh no, we need to free the Venezuelan people from their evil, horrible dictator, which is the same bullshit they use with Iran. They're like, well, we stand with the Iranian people in liberating them from their dictator, and it's like, okay, but
and it just so happens to be a socialized. It just so happens to be a socialized economy with a nationalized oil supply. Again, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, because let's not forget, guys. Let's not forget how many different countries Trump has blamed the drug crisis on. I find it very interesting. Out of
it's the entirety of the global South, it's Colombia now too.
It's Colombia. They blamed Canada.
He's buddy with the fucking Marco Rubio tapped like this guy from the former president of Colombia that was like literally like a fucking. He got busted in it for like shipping cocaine, and there was like Shell Company or some shit.
Yeah, and so
literally pairing up with drug traffickers as we plan to bomb Venezuela to capture.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too is that like he's even blamed Canada for the drug thing. He's blamed China for the drug thing.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's right. China somehow ships drugs overseas to Venezuela to bring them to the U.S. That makes a lot of sense.
So of all the countries that he's blaming the drug thing on, he seems really focused on, to the point of direct military intervention, Venezuela. And it just happens, just coinkydink, just a real coinkydink here. It just so happens to be the country that has the largest oil reserves in the whole fucking world. And I think the interesting part is that if you just look online, the funny thing is this isn't like hitting on like anybody. Like nobody's buying this. Like across the political field, like just nobody's buying it. The right isn't buying it. The left isn't buying it.
I think there's some MAGA people who are.
Do you mean MAGA people, or do you mean by MAGA people? Do you mean Indian employees? Because I think you mean Indian employees when you mean MAGA people.
No, they're from Nigeria. I told you. So the Hasbara accounts are Indians, and then the pro-MAGA Trump accounts are all Nigerians.
Okay.
That's how the game works.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, I even have like conservative like people I know in my life. It's not even working on them. They're just like, so we're just they're just doing the oil thing, right? Everybody I know is just like, yeah, it's just fucking, they're doing the oil thing. So it's super interesting the way things are escalating. As of right now, apparently the entire Venezuelan airspace is closed down. And I find it extra funny that they're going with the whole like drug trafficking angle. We're gonna free the country. It's the American meme, like, looks like they need a little bit of freedom. But I find it interesting, given what came out of Donald Trump's mouth himself here. Just super neato, super interesting stuff. Wait, hold on. I don't know if I shared that with the sound. Yeah, there we go. So this is just super interesting. This is super interesting.
When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door. But now we're buying oil from Venezuela, so we're making a dictator very rich. Can you believe this? Nobody can believe it. You know where the oil, their oil is garbage. It's horrible. The worst you can get, tar. It's like tar. And to refine it, you need special plants. And these people...
So like, we're just talking about the, like, yeah, we're doing the oil thing and that's that. We're just talking about it.
They always tell you.
We're not even like, the funniest thing about Trump is he's not even following like the propaganda that the State Department's like rolling out. All the MAGA people are going in like one direction, and he's out here like, yeah, no, the oil, like, we're just gonna.
No, it's they literally say it out loud. This woman is insane. Rep Maria Salazar. I don't even know if I'm saying her name correctly, but she's in Florida, where all the other fucking maniacs are. This is just some of the stuff she said over the past couple of weeks, the past couple of days.
Uranium to Hezbollah.
This is the kind of shit they're saying now. They're sending uranium to Hezbollah in Lebanon somehow. I don't know why.
That's fucking.
I don't know
awesome.
why, and I don't know how, but they're claiming this is happening. Listen to some of this shit. This is insane. I have like 3 videos.
Yeah. Maduro is not the legitimate president of the country. So we're not invading a sovereign country that has a free and fair elected democratic president. No, this guy is a thug. Yeah. And he's good friends with Hezbollah. They are giving uranium to Hamas and to Iran and to North Korea and to Cuba and to Nicaragua. Come on, it's time for the United States to do what.
Bro, they're not doing but Hamas with fucking Venezuela. Shut up.
How is the propaganda?
Shut the fuck up.
How is the propaganda this bad? Come
this
on,
is just. Guys. This is. I almost wonder if the psyop itself is like demoralization, insofar as people watch this and they're like, "Wow, they think we're that fucking stupid."
They really do. They really do.
Because who's gonna believe like, oh, we have to do warmongering in Venezuela because they're giving uranium to Hamas. To do what? What are they going to do with uranium?
I don't know. Listen to this again.
Yeah. Maduro is not the legitimate president of the country. So we're not invading a sovereign country that has a free and fair elected democratic president. No, this guy is a thug. Yeah. And he's good friends with Hezbollah. They are giving uranium to Hamas and to Iran and to North Korea and to Cuba and to Nicaragua. Come on, it's time for the United States to do what we need to do. And thank God that Trump is doing it.
Yeah. Here's just some more shit that she says.
In touch and in...
She's talking to the opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado.
contact with Maria Corina Machado, who is the legitimate president of Venezuela, and they are ready within 100 days after they're liberated. They know what they need to do. I mean, Venezuela had a very strong democracy before these thugs took power. That was only 25 years ago. They have the largest reserves of oil in the world. They are more than willing to negotiate and to be working with the oil companies, the American oil companies. So it's not going to be difficult. 70-80% of the Venezuelans voted
we're not being this like
not
just
only that,
completely.
They have risen many times, general strikes for years. So the Venezuelans are ready to be liberated and not to be a hub for drugs coming into the United States. And I salute President Trump. I'm the chairman of the Western.
And they say it out loud, guys. They say it out.
But I mean, we have more oil. I mean,
Don Jr.
potential.
What is happening,
and
man?
We're going to open markets. We're going to kick off the government from the oil sector. We are going to privatize all our industry. Venezuela has huge resources: oil, gas, minerals, land, technology. And as you said before, we have a strategic location, hours from the United States. So we're going to do this right. We know what we have to do. And American companies are in, super strategic position to invest. This country, Venezuela, is going to be the brightest opportunity for investment of American companies, of good people that are going to make a lot of money.
It's so brazen.
Proven oil reserves in the world. The 8th reservoir of natural gas. Huge potential in electricity, gold, critical minerals, and so on. This can only be unleashed with a society, with a government that brings order to this chaos. That open markets that brings rule of law, that is friendly to international investment. And in a country that is producing less than 1 million barrels a day could reach 4, 5, or 6 in a decade.
With her mouth. I don't know what's going on with the mouth.
Terrible. I don't know how old she is.
The mouth is looking, she's literally looking like the Joker. She's up here like, why so serious about it? I don't know. I didn't come up with a good one there, but this is what I never understand. This is what I'll never understand about like Republicans specifically. What is the thing they do with their faces? Because they all look like they broke out of a fucking wax museum. All of them look like they broke out of a wax museum. They all look like they are going to melt under like heavy lamplight. What does that look? That I need to look like I am made of like clay and like various paint. Because this is this is like a lizard. This isn't a person.
Well, they're demonic. I don't understand how you create someone like this in a CIA lab, because they're like literally perfect, and they're just random local fucking Congress people, and they're saying it out loud. We're going in, guys. We're going in to Venezuela. We're going.
I would love to see a change in government. My wife's from Nicaragua. We know how terribly the dictators there rely on Venezuela.
oil.
The
dictators.
But at the same time, a lot of Americans don't want actual U.S. participation in regime change in Venezuela. They would much prefer the Venezuelans to do it on their own. Do you think the pressure that Maduro has received will force him to leave on his own?
Guys, it's the dictator.
I think Maduro is not Fidel Castro. Maduro is not a brave boy. So now that he has understood that he's on that very nefarious list of the terrorist organization, that the airspace above Venezuela has been closed off and the commercial airlines from the United States are not flying, he's understanding that we're about to go in. He understands that he has been our enemy for the last 25 years. Venezuela, for those Americans who do not understand why we need to go in, basically for three reasons. You're in Fox business. Venezuela, for the American oil companies, will be a field day. because it will be more than $1 trillion in economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe, the whole oil rigs, and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum companies. Or
yeah,
okay,
it's coming, guys. It's coming. One more, just one more.
They're literally like they're just signaling like, yeah, we're gonna like, and this is what America does. For people who aren't aware, they do this with every single like socialist country. It's the same thing. It just this time they're just doing it directly. They're not funding like, you know, CIA coups or whatever. They're like, no, I think we can just go like just go balls in with this one and just directly just over like completely violate a sovereign country's will. Because at the end of the day, okay, and I don't need to tell most people this, the argument for we need to go regime change any country is that's not our call. If the people of that country want that, then they have to do something about it. Because frankly, all of us here in the fucking West, up here in Canada and in the States,
there's just no moral authority for us. Our own society is fucked completely. To think that we can go and fix someone else's is kind of arrogant and insane.
No, it's insane. What other country wants what the fuck we have? We don't even have democracy. We've got just endless sheepdogs that pretend to represent us, and then they get in office and they fart and just fucking, you know, vote on Israel garbage and billionaire garbage and fell for it again times a million. Why do we need to bust into any other country and give them anything even remotely connected to the fucking West? It's absurd. It's absurd and it's broken, and nobody should be falling for this propaganda. Also, can we just unpack the drug thing for a second? Okay, let's think about this issue with drugs, okay? There's not an application of this anywhere else across the board when it comes to substances. So everybody's talking about like fentanyl, drugs pouring into the border, right? Nobody's talking about alcoholism. Nobody's talking about big pharma and the prescription drugs nightmare that's going on over there with opioids, with painkillers. All of which are significant problems in and of themselves.
So this is it, guys.
Thousands of people a year. In recent weeks, you've been working to deter Venezuelan drug traffickers, of which there are many. Of course, there aren't too many coming in by sea anymore, if you probably noticed that. From sending their poisons into the United States, where they kill hundreds of thousands of people a year.
Well, dude, what's going on with
that situation? We're already doing a lot. We've almost stopped.
What's happening?
85% stopped by sea. You probably noticed that. People aren't wanting to be delivering by sea, and we'll be starting to stop them by land also. The land is easier, but that's going to start very soon.
Very soon. And this is all of MAGA right now.
Yeah, that's all of MAGA. It's all of MAGA. I got to say, though, what is going on with Trump's speech? Is he like fucking up some dentures or something?
He's dying. He's got to be dying.
Yeah.
Here's the big hypocrisy of all of this, right?
Let's see it.
So just the other day, Trump pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez, who is basically a narco dictator, the former narco dictator of Honduras, which are having elections soon. I'm pretty sure that's important. And they're trying to, do a soft power regime change, which is coming to stores near you. And when he's confronted with this, he's literally saying the exact same rationale that he's applying to Maduro. And this is the same man, listen to this, and this is the same exact man who put a $10 million bounty on Maduro for selling drugs.
President Trump. I thought it said President Trump gags for a second, and I thought, oh, well, that tracks.
Let me see if there's video of this. There should be video of this now. But you can't make this up. You really can't make it.
This is a good point too. Opioid deaths.
This is some
opioid deaths.
Go ahead.
Opioid deaths have dropped almost 50% in the last 3 years because of harm reduction measures, which have been cut this year. More people will die. Yeah, that's kind of the point I was trying to get to before Crab rudely cut me off with a video, which I will never forgive him for, ever. So this is kind of the point I'm trying to make. We don't apply the same standards of like ownership or accountability when it comes to this specific drug issue for any other area. Because it's like if you have like alcoholism deaths or like addictions to painkillers, you know, society doesn't start pointing fingers of like where the substances are coming from, because they're coming from capital. They're coming from big business. So it's like, okay, then it's a personal problem. But with this very specific drug related issue, instead of tracking that to it being, you know, there's plenty of reasons why people have issues with drugs. They can't regulate their emotions because of childhood trauma. They have underlying mental disorders, which they probably can't afford to treat, because in 2025, we still haven't figured out a fucking way to give people like affordable mental health treatments. Myriad reasons. They're self-medicating because of the stress of their material conditions. Maybe they're working 2 jobs. There's so many reasons why people develop addictions, right? A lot of it also is stuff like ADHD, where you don't produce enough dopamine, you're trying to get it elsewhere. So many different reasons for these things that, you know, it's we really don't apply this to any other circumstance. Like are we going to, like, what's Trump going to do? Be like, oh, alcoholism has skyrocketed. We need to go after insert country here that gives us the most like alcohol, like, you know what I mean? Do you get what I'm going with this? It's just like the logic doesn't logic. It just doesn't fucking make sense. And I don't think it's ever made sense. So the fact that they think this propaganda is going to work is just weird. It's just fucking weird. But yeah, let's cut to Trump gagging with the press, gagging on the press.
Yeah,
he's gagging on the press. This is Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump being like, I'm a pedophile. Wait, no, I was going to do yours. God damn it. No, I self-own myself. No. Oh, top 10. If we were more popular, we'd end up on live stream fail there. That was just
not good. Believe me, not good.
And that was actually the final indication that
America's dead.
That's it right there. Can't believe I did that. I am such a expired coupon. I am an expired coupon tonight. Oh boy. Okay. President Trump and why he pardoned former Honduran president. You can take any country you want. If somebody sells drugs in that country, that doesn't mean you arrest the president and put him in jail for the rest of his.
You can't hear it?
I can't hear shit.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, you should have told me.
Well, no, I don't know what you're doing, man. You got to be like, here's my audio.
A video.
And he was a drug dealer.
There we go.
Mr. You've made so clear.
See that sound? We can hear that. So that's good.
Explain more about why you would pardon a notorious drug trafficker.
Well, I don't know who you're talking about.
Juan Orlando Hernandez.
Well, I was told, I was asked asked by Honduras, many of the people of Honduras, they said it was a Biden setup. I don't mean Biden. Look, Biden didn't know he was alive, but it was the.
They do this all the time. They're just like, yeah, it's the previous guy. He did it.
Biden,
whatever.
there, which is about.
It's just I don't know. It's the previous guy. Like,
people of Honduras really thought he was set up.
It's such a fucking scam, man. This is all such a fucking scam.
And they basically said he was a drug dealer because he was the president of the country. And they said it was a Biden administration setup. And I looked at the facts and I agreed with them.
What evidence can you share that he was set up and that he wasn't?
Well, you take a look. I mean, they could say that you take any country you want. If somebody sells drugs in that country, that doesn't mean you arrest the president and put him in jail for the rest of his life.
This man literally put a fucking $10 million bounty on Maduro for the same exact reason. And there's just no, it's just so quiet. It's so quiet. And then you topple this with the you add this on with the fact that all of drug trafficking in the United States is brought in from the CIA. And there's plenty of evidence to suggest this.
Yeah.
But here, let me do John Stockwell, infamous CIA.
It really makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder, like, how deliberate this is, because, like, the timing between this getting unearthed of the pardoning and just the blatant hypocrisy of what they're doing in Venezuela, it's like almost too on the nose. It's too on the balls, as the kids say. What do you mean no kids say on the balls? Yeah, they do. Shut up. Do you like how I just argued with myself? That's a normal thing that normal people do. This is just weird. Like, it's so weird. And it makes you wonder, like, why is it weird?
When you have the top this deeply involved in the drug smuggling and providing airplanes for the drug smugglers, when you have our big bankers laundering the money and bringing it back into the system, if they were really interested in purging our society from drugs, you could do it pretty quickly if you went after the bankers so they couldn't profit from it anymore, and then you impeached Bush and J.O. Lehman and a bunch of other people at that level, and just the information that they have, and started locking people up at that level, then start down, and you could dry this thing up. Then God knows at some point, but they're not going to do that. That's the big bucks. That's the big money. They don't like civil liberties. Give them more control over the people. Now, you have that kind of money and tolerance of the thing at the top. The White House involved, Oliver North getting memos back and forth with Robert Owens saying these people were working or smuggling drugs, knowing about it, giving protection, Ed Meese giving protection, fending off investigations, George Bush through Greg Rodriguez and the others actually flying the drugs. Now, this makes an utter mockery of their claim of a war against drugs. So then you come back and look at the drug testing. Clearly, they're not interested in cleaning drugs out of the society. So why are they trying to get into the testing? And that's where you become very suspicious, because that's a tremendously effective tool for population control.
As a means of social control, that also is another reason why drugs are tolerated in the U.S. and other capitalist countries, because it is a form of social control. If people are stoned out on drugs, addicted to drugs, obsessed with drugs, they're going to not be social rebels.
Exactly. Between commercial television and lots of crack, you can take a lot of the guts out of the society without question.
And so this is the nature of U.S. drug trafficking, right? Because what happens is you have all of these big banks and restaurants that rely on money laundering in order to hide most of their profits. Big banks do this, restaurants do this, laundromats do. This comes from the top to the bottom. And they're using the black market as a means to not only control the population, but hide all of their money. And with that, once you take that out of a society, once you take that out of the U.S. economy, you know what happens? The entire thing collapses on its head. That's the reality.
And furthermore, I mean, a lot of people have said this, and I'll just parrot it real quick, but like, this is just more dying empire shit. That's all this is. When you start doing stuff like what they're doing in Venezuela, it's like Marx predicted in the book. This is just full implosion. This is like Rome shit. Okay? This is the kind of shit you do when the house of cards is free falling. And again, like if we're talking about drugs, you can make a much stronger case for countries like China if you're worried about like the importing of certain materials or whatnot. But they can't do this kind of shit with China. They can't be like, we're gonna go fucking like fuck up China's airspace, because first off, it would fuck America's trade completely. They can't be like, China's airspace is like that would destroy North America in 24 hours.
No, they would literally just shut off the economy. I say this all the time.
Yeah, they would. They would be like, okay.
Aggression against China has to be calculated, and it's very, very it's not possible, really, because they can just shut down the economy like that. They will literally just shut down the US economy instantly. That's all that counts.
Yeah. Like, I feel like the average person doesn't understand, like, if China ever decided, like, fuck you, we're going to do a full embargo on you, America would be done. It would turn into Fallout. It would just be a completely collapsed state. So they got to do this bullshit with places like Venezuela, which, I mean, it's already kind of dicey. Venezuela is a BRICS country. China has already openly denounced what they're doing. The axis of resistance knows exactly what the fuck this is. All of them are talking about it. The Ayatollah made a statement, I believe today, about it as well.
It's never been more ogre. It's so Jover. It's completely Jover.
It is ogre for sure. It's so ogre that there are some tactics being discussed. I just made a 90s RPG reference that nobody's going to get. So sorry about that.
Now this is Catherine Austin Fitts, who worked for the Bush administration, telling us that if you take out the drugs, the black market from the U.S. economy, the entire thing collapses on its head. Listen to this.
When I was a little girl, I grew up at 48th and Larchwood in West Philadelphia, and the Solari index was 100%. The Solari index is the index that I use to describe the well-being of a neighborhood. It's the percent of people in a neighborhood who believe that a child can leave their home, go to the nearest place to buy a popsicle, and come home alone safely. It was unthinkable that a child wasn't safe at 48th and Larchwood in West Philadelphia in the 1950s. The Solari index was 100%, and the Dow Jones index was probably about 500. Today, it's reversed. The Dow Jones index is very high at about 10,000, and the Solari index is at very low in West Philadelphia and very low throughout the United States. And why is that? It's because one of the ways that we finance the growth of multinational corporations and big banks and the rise of the Dow Jones is by selling narcotics to our children. It's one of the most profitable businesses in America. About a year ago, I gave a speech called How the Money Works in Organized Crime to a wonderful group of people in Philadelphia. They have a conference every year. They go off into the woods for about 3 days and talk about how they can help our culture, our world spiritually evolve. So I gave my presentation on how the money works as organized crime, describing what is arguably the biggest, most profitable industry in the United States today. And towards the end, we were discussing the fact that the Department of Justice estimates that the United States is the leader in laundering organized crime profits of about $500 billion to $1 trillion a year. So I asked the audience, what would happen if we stopped being the worldwide leader in laundering $500 billion to $1 trillion a year? And they said, well, you know, if we stopped, our mutual funds would go down in price, the stock market would crash. I said, well, what else would happen? So they said, well, you know, we might have trouble financing the government deficit because, in fact, the people who control 50 years of accumulated profits, that's a lot of capital that we need to finance our deficit. So I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, let's pretend there's a big red button right up here in the lectern right in front of me. And if you push that button, you can stop all organized crime in America, and you can stop America laundering $500 billion to $1 trillion of organized crime profits every year. Who here will push the button? And out of 100 people, only one person would push the button. And I said, okay, so what you're saying is you want a whole armada of people to sell drugs to your children and grandchildren to keep your mutual funds up and your government checks coming. And they said, yes, that's right. Now, there are many ways to change that. There are many ways to re-engineer our financial system and our resources so that the Solari Index and the Dow Jones can be friends. So that when we get the Solari Index to go up by making sure our neighborhoods are safe for children, the real estate can go up in value, the small businesses go up in value. There are many ways to make the Solari Index and the Dow Jones friends. But before we can do that, before we can have that conversation, we have to face what's happening. We have to face that we are addicted to drug profits, because if we can't face it, God can't fix it.
Okay.
It's ogre. It's so Jover. It's more Jover than it ever has been. I actually
it has never been this Jover.
If anyone is not already familiar, you should be. This is a must watch or a read. I would recommend the read, but the documentary is actually very good too.
What if you don't know how to read?
Then you could watch the documentary. It's fine.
Okay.
There's a documentary. I'm pretty sure you can watch it for free on Vimeo. Otherwise, just fucking buy it somewhere, not Amazon, preferably. But again, this is the nature of the United States empire. They rely on drugging your children so that they can keep their profits up.
Yeah, because they hit the nail on the head in that video, right? If you have a society that is pacified, and is basically like docile, they are less likely to be revolutionary. And they've done this with drugs. They've done this with religion. It's like I first said, religion is the opiate of the masses. I came up with that quote in case anybody's ripping off the bearded man again. God damn it. No, they do this because if you are self-medicating, if you are treating normal feelings you should feel from being in a disordered society that is not working, then you'll be less likely to actually get up off your fucking ass and do something about it, as opposed to people who are just processing those internal negative feelings and going, wait a minute, this society's fucked up. We got to do better. We got to do something about this. Like we're all suffering. We're all struggling. We're all getting screwed. And like nobody's doing anything about it. We got to get on the streets. We got to hand out pamphlets. We got to do a general strike. We got to shut down Capitol. You're not going to be doing any of that if instead you are medicating and treating so there's two roads when it comes to treatment modality with negative feelings. The first road is you just do whatever you can to make the feelings go away. The second road is you do whatever you can to ensure the feelings do not arise in the future. And if every single time you're stressed about work, you're stressed about finances, you can just reach for a bottle or reach for drugs or, same Bloom or Descent. I don't remember which one you prefer to be called, but I'm going to alternate because I'm annoying like that. Anyway. Also, thanks everybody who watched me definitely not eat shit for 45 minutes yesterday. I definitely didn't eat shit and get very angry at video games. So thank you for watching that cord.
I didn't even see that.
Oh my fucking God. I got my ass waxed by this boss in Another Crab's Treasure for like half an hour.
Crab's Treasure?
Yeah, it's called Another Crab's Treasure.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Am I there?
It was bad. Also, Restream is dog shit for gaming. Do not ever do that. I'm using OBS from now on. I'm never using Restream again. That was absolute garbage.
You shouldn't. That's so it's so dumb.
Yeah,
It's
it
really
sucks. Anyway, so that's kind of where we're at with this whole situation with Venezuela. But it does get it yeah. I got beat up by an underwater kidney.
I'm just saying this now. It's crazy.
But the thing is,
crazy stuff.
But the thing is, okay, like Maduro himself fucking calls this shit out. Check this out. Check this out.
El 85% de los miles de millones del narcotráfico internacional anual están en los bancos de Estados Unidos. Ahí está el cartel. Que lo investiguen y lo descubran. El lavado de dinero. Mira, yo estaba viendo los datos que dio la vicepresidenta y creo que son más de 500 mil millones de dólares anuales que están en la banca de Estados Unidos, en los bancos legales. Si ellos quisieran investigar un cartel, que investiguen el cartel en el norte, porque allá es que desde Estados Unidos que se dirige todo el narcotráfico de Sudamérica y del mundo, porque también dirigen el narcotráfico del opio, etcétera, etcétera. Es en los Estados Unidos que están las mafias, que están los verdaderos carteles.
Yeah, and like
el 85.
I don't think there's a better picture to describe imperialism than this right here. Just like fucking, like that's it. And this whole thing, I mean, first and foremost, like anybody with a functional brain knows that this is like it's all fake. All the reasoning is fake. It's the same as it always has been. The US just doesn't like that there is a socialized country with a lot of oil. And I think what's interesting to me, at least, what is very interesting to me is that they seem far less invested in like actually doing propaganda that even works. Which is concerning because
they know it doesn't matter. You don't have to be coherent.
Yeah, that's what I was going with. They know, like, they just need to give a reason, and even if everybody, so like, you know how reactionaries would talk about the Soviet Union and describe it as like, oh, everybody knew what was coming from the government was propaganda. I feel like we're there, but like actually, in the West right now, because I feel like everybody kind of knows like it's bullshit. I feel like everybody kind of knows that this Venezuela thing is just about the oil, and that's all it is about. And people who want to, you know, firmly attach their tongue to the boot, they have to just kind of roll with it. But I feel like everybody kind of knows, like, yeah, we're just doing like an imperialism because we want the fucking oil. And we're just going to say, we're going to liberate. We need to liberate the people. We care about, they use this bullshit every time where they're like, we care about the people of that country. Bro, you're the fucking United States of America. How are you going to say anything moral or just with a straight face? You are the great Satan and everybody fucking knows it. You don't care about the people in Venezuela, just like you don't care about the people of Iran, just like you don't care about all the other people in all the other countries that the CIA has done countless coups and overthrown their socialist governments just to install another Western puppet.exe. Okay? You don't care about these people. You just want the land or you want the resources, and that's all that's ever been about, because imperialism is, at the end of the day, as we've covered here, the highest form of capitalism, and that is all that is ever going on in the United States of America.